and let's make it 5 cards, as he has not found what he is looking for. You know, we've talked a lot about VanMeter and his Amulet Bloom deck this weekend, and I think a lot of people are familiar with that, but the Eclectic Company deck that's really going around right now, both the Elvish version and the Abzan version we're going to watch, what's really interesting to me is I think the consensus among the community is not entirely sure how to build this thing, because it's not a direct port from Birthing Pod. Birthing Pod is a broken Magic card. We all know that by now. Collected Company is very, very good, but you can't just say, swap out my Birthing Pod, swap in Collected Companies, hey, the deck's fixed. How do you build this deck? Nobody knows.
Well, we're seeing a lot of players doing, you look at David Goldfarb's list of it, is that there are more copies of combo pieces than you would normally expect out of a Birthing Pod deck. He's lower on it. You see 2 copies of Anafenza, 1 copy of Malira, 2 copies of Viscera Seer, 4 companies, and 4 Court of Callings. So this finds its combo quicker and more often than a lot of your pod decks did. Also, a full 4 copies of Eternal Witness really shows that I think the strength of these Collected Company decks is that they're trying to set up to play a fair game of Magic, which this one's not going to be honest.
I don't think anyone has any intentions of playing fair Magic when Amulet Bloom is involved. That's for sure. So we're going to see if Chris can get up to something crazy or if David can work his way through his mulligan of 5. We're going to start things off with a Windswept Heath to kick off round number 9 here on day 2 of coverage. VanMeter will start with a Gemstone Mine. 3 counters on that. He's tapping mana. Could be a Stirrings, could be an Amulet. It'll be a Serum Visions, though.
Yeah, Serum Visions is actually oftentimes what you'll see them start on, even if they do have the other cards you mentioned. See an Amulet in his Scry. What he has right now is he has a Hive Mind. He has, appears to be 2 Summoners packs, and then a lot of lands, including at least 1 Bounce Land and a Teleria West. So he has his 6 mana cards to get to, whether it's, I mean, Hive Mind double packed is probably going to be our route to victory here. 1 packed is something the Abzan Company can definitely pay for. 2 of them is probably out. So what he's looking for is he's looking for cards like Summerbloom, Azusa, and to a certain point, Amulet of Vigor. I think he'll keep the Amulet on top. You see me actually keeps both on top here.
A Razorverge Thicket there for Goldfarb, and now a copy of Wall of Roots. He'll have to, of course, crack that Windswept Heath, so we'll see what land he wants to search up as he takes a look at his hand. A lot of options here between Temple Garden, Godless Shrine, and, of course, Overgrown Tomb. I suppose he could go basic hunting, but I find that to be rather unlikely.
There are copies, so he has a copy of Collected Company and Court of Calling in his hand, so David does. So he has ability to find some pieces to disrupt Chris. So if Chris goes for something like Amulet of Vigor, he can destroy it. That really will only set back Chris a turn, unless Chris has something like Summerbloom.
Goldfarb goes with an Overgrown Tomb. He's down to 17. The Wall of Roots is on the battlefield. We'll see what Chris can put together. Again, you mentioned the Amulet of Vigor that he saw in the Scry. The other card we didn't get a great look at, but he did keep them both.
Yep.
We know that. So he's happy enough.
What Amulet is setting up for, if he just has Amulet and nothing else, it's a turn 5 kill. Because he'll have the Amulet in play, and on turn 5 he'll play a Bounce Land, untap it, have 6 mana, play Hive Mind 2 packs. Okay. So now he's looking for cards that can improve that Goldfish past the point of just being a turn 5 kill.
Well, he found out what it was. It was the Serum Visions. That means he's going to draw the Amulet. Now he'll get the Scry twice. Don't get a great look at what CVM's looking at, but he will decide accordingly here.
He's looking for Summerblooms and Azusas. Those are the things that will speed this up.
Just kind of cheat some lands into play.
Yeah, I mean, he has the, like I said, he has the Amulet. So right now he has a turn 5, which should almost play that should almost certainly be a win.
Okay.
So really, he just needs to make things better. I think a Slaughter Pact is also a pretty reasonable card to find here, as it slows down David a turn. It doesn't speed him up, but that'll probably keep David honest in case David has a fast combo.
Tendo Ice Bridge into Amulet of Vigor, the play for Chris VanMeter. Goldfarb with just a 3rd land and say go.
And I'm not buying that for a second. I mean, David's on 5. There's a chance his hand is just mana, but we know that that's not the case.
Yeah, he does have a Collected Company in hand. That's an instant spell, so I'll be playing that here, I imagine, on VanMeter's end step.
Yeah. There's temptation here to pact for Azusa, play Azusa, and start getting extra bounce lands. Now, the issue is this is turn 3, so pacting for Azusa gets Azusa. You have to pay for the pact on turn 4, and then on turn 5 you can combo, but that doesn't actually improve on the turn 5 kill. So because David's not forcing any action from Chris, while Chris could go for that line, I wouldn't be surprised to see him just do nothing instead.
Maybe just play a Bounce Land, pick up his Gemstone Mine, pass the turn back. He does have a Golgari Rot Farm in hand after all.
Yeah, well, if he has a Simic Growth Chamber or a Bounce Line which can help him create that 2nd blue mana, he could transmute a Teleria West for something like Slaughter Pact. And that's something he could actually do, you know, transmute for Slaughter Pact, play Slaughter Pact this turn, pay for it on turn 4, combo on turn 5. Okay. I don't know if he has, the issue is that he does not want to use the Gemstone Mine. He can't lose his land.
Well, here's another Gemstone Mine. It's a very tough puzzle that Amulet Bloom presents. So see if I'm just going to play a land and pass the turn back. Goldfarb is going to sacrifice his Verdant Catacombs.
Yeah. So I think the line he's on is that he's going to just play some lands. Next turn he'll play Mana Confluence. He'll transmute a Teleria West for maybe a Slaughter Pact. Then on turn 5 he'll play the last land, which is the Golgari Rot Farm. That's 6 mana, tap everything, play Hive Mind, and throw all the packs he's accumulated onto the board.
Well, he's underneath any pressure at this point. We'll see if this plan does work, as here's Collected Company. First time getting to see this one in Modern. So 6 cards is what Goldfarb will take a look at. We'll see if he can find 2 things. 2 copies of Voice of Resurgence. You don't mind that too much.
2 beaters is good. He needs a clock. Now, if you look at the clock, that's 4 damage. That's not going to raise the Hive Minds that Chris has. So what David can do is if he can chord into something like Viscera Seer and get both these voices to be elementals, it's possible he can improve his clock by a lot.
Okay. VanMeter will take a draw. Picked up a copy of Azusa.
A great card to draw. It's not actually going to improve his clock. I think Chris is still better served by just transmuting for that pact and having the turn 5 kill.
I guess he is at 16, so no real need for a blocker at this point.
Yeah, well, a blocker's not much better than... The question is, is it better than having that transmute available? I'm not positive it is.
He'll start by playing Golgari Rot Farm. The trigger from Amulet will untap that. He'll add some mana, pick it up. Looks like he's going to do some Azusa shenanigans now.
Yes, we can get the Azusa for free here, which may mean that if David had a kill spell right now, he would not get to transmute, but that is not going to be the case. So now, going for this line, he can just go straight for
the Hive
kill.
Mind. Yep.
Yep.
There is Hive Mind. And now it's time for a couple of packs. 2 of them.
Yeah, this is the most aggressive line. If David had a kill spell in response to that first bounce land when Azusa was played, so then Chris doesn't actually get the second land drop.
Because the bounce line has a trigger.
Bounce line has a trigger.
Interrupt.
You can interrupt the Azusa extra land drops, but this is going to kill him, as David didn't have the kill spell.
2 copies of Summoner's Pact will go in the stack, and of course with Hive Mind it gets a little complicated. I'll let you explain that very quickly.
Sure, so Hive Mind, and we went through this last time he does it, whenever any player plays an instant, all players play the instant. So Chris is going to play 2 copies of Summoner's Pact, which means David plays them, and it means on David's next turn, he has to pay 2 green for each Summoner's Pact or lose the game. That's 8 mana. David does not have that, so he does end up losing on his upkeep.
David agreed to a deal that he couldn't pay. Couldn't pay. Why would he agree to a deal he couldn't pay?
It was foolish to play so many packs.
I know, that was just not very smart, David. Chris VanMeter does win game number 1 here over David Goldfarb. Amulet Bloom up a game over Abzan Company. We'll start with Goldfarb's sideboard and his 2 Path Exiles, his 2 Dromoka's Commands, his 3 copies of Thoughtseize, a Qasali Pride Mage, an Ethersworn Canonist, a Spellskite, and a Sin Collector, along with the Scavenging Ooze, an Aven Mind Sensor, an Orzhov Pontiff, and a Kataki's War Wage. You mentioned Mind Sensor right at the top, so I imagine that's going to be coming in. Any other cards kind of scare you from the Amulet Bloom side?
Well, Thoughtseize is great. I don't think this is a matchup where Chris is going to want to board in something like Leyline of Sanctity. There's not enough targeted effects. So the Thoughtseizes should just be good. You can pick apart those hands. Yeah, Aven Mind Sensor seems great. Definitely am a fan of that. Qasali Pride Mage, extra copies of that are fine. I think they're okay to board in just because a 2/2 is pretty reasonable here already. Last card you can look at is Ethersworn Canonist. Now, that card is okay in this matchup. Sometimes Chris will just play a Primeval Titan, and that won't help at all. But it does stop things like Pact. It's really good against cards like Summoner's Pact, and I think it's troublesome enough that he'll board it in.
Okay. On VanMeter's side, he's got his 3 Leyline of Sanctities, 3 Thragtusk, 1 Hornet Queen, 2 Pyroclasm, 2 Seal of Primordium, a Chromatic Lantern, an Engineer Explosives, a Chalice of the Void, and a Ghost Quarter. Now, we have seen this deck just kind of try to play a mid-range game with Hornet Queen and Thragtusk, and he's got his main deck copy of Dragon Lord Dromoka. Are we on that plan, or are we still on the combo plan?
We're on the combo plan. The value creatures aren't going to stack up well against Abzan Company. They're enough better at the creatures game that a Thragtusk, while it might buy you a turn, won't win the game in this matchup. So the cards I think he'll go toward are things like the 2 Pyroclasm, the 1 copy of Engineered Explosives, and that just might be it. As far as what he's boarding out, I don't think he really likes Dragon Lord Dromoka, and some of the utility lands like Cavern of Souls really aren't necessary here.
Okay. Well, both players will sideboard, get ready for game number 2. David Goldfarb already shuffling. He'll be on the play. So we will talk about Chris VanMeter, number 14 on our Season 2 leaderboard. Player who resides in Roanoke, Virginia, with 17 Open Series top 8s, 4 wins, most recent in Syracuse with Green Red Dragons a few months ago. Former college football player, top-rated chess player, and of course his 2 successful Kickstarter campaigns for Beard Power and the BBD versus CVM playmat. The one thing that has eluded him thus far is an invitational top 8, but he is well on his way there. And again, you were there right from the start. We have recorded video evidence during the pregame show.
Hashtag Team CVM.
Yes.
Tweet it, everyone.
You were on board from the start. No front running, no jumping on. You said, I would play Amulet Bloom. I would be Chris VanMeter for this tournament. I'm on board. He hasn't lost yet.
No, and especially if you look at it in the players race, Chris is not near the top of this. This is, you're at right now, at least in our points race. You say, pulling someone out of the field. This is not. I don't think the player that immediately you'd say like he's really hot going into this event.
Yeah. Now, he's number 14 on our season 2 leaderboard, but Kevin Jones has such a huge lead on things that it's especially because Kevin's made day 2. I think now we've got to the point where he can't even be caught, and it looks like he's secured his invite to the Players Championship yet again. So congratulations to Kevin. But we can't forget, Chris was there last year. He wants to get back this year for the end of the year tournament where there's a lot on the line. He wasn't too happy with his performance last year, but he said he loved the tournament. He wants to get back, and this might be the best way to go about doing that. He's having a great weekend so far. A lot of rounds of Magic left to be played, especially if he makes the elimination rounds, but he's having as good a start as you can possibly hope for. And I'm actually with you. As far as decks are concerned, Amulet Bloom is a heck of a choice if you can kind of harness its power, but his standard choice, Green Red Devotion, looks to be a really good one.
Yeah, and remember, if he gets to the top 8, Amulet Bloom is going to be the deck he's going to play. The top 8 of this event is Modern. But both decks seem like great choices for the weekend. I mean, we've watched him play, look at his pairings with Amulet Bloom. He played right now against Naya Zoo and Obzon Company. I mean, these are both just excellent matchups for the deck.
These are not twin decks, which is a good thing.
No, these aren't twin decks. I mean, he dodged the Joe Lissette matchup. That one's horrid for Amulet Bloom.
Joe Lissette playing a Goryo's Vengeance Gristlebrand deck. A real flimsy combo deck, but it can kill you very fast.
It's faster than Amulet. That's the problem.
That's for sure. We're going to see if this company deck can kind of stand up to what VanMeter's doing here. Goldfarb mulliganing to 5 that game caused some real issues, and his collected company didn't really net him what he was looking for. So we'll see if a 7-card hand can do much better. And he does have some good cards in the sideboard, as we mentioned. The copies of Thoughtseize, maybe Ethersworn Canvas, maybe Sin Collector, even Mind Sensor, certainly going to come in. Some nice options here for David.
I mean, the issue here is that even though David was on 5, there just aren't many draws he has that matter, at least out of that situation. His Goldfish turn is 5 or 6. His deck is great at making value, but it doesn't kill quickly. And Chris was just able to ignore what David was doing.
Well, Goldfarb going to take a look at his opening hand. Again, he'll be on the play here. Oddly enough, that's 4 games that we've watched from VanMeter, as Goldfarb's going to take another mulligan. And still nothing explosive. No crazy Amulet, Summer Bloom, boom, boom, boom. Oh my gosh, this deck needs to be banned. Just some kind of honest Magic.
Well, he did have a turn 4 killed that last game.
That was the most dishonest
He had to tap deck the Azusa for it.
Yes.
And there was some risk involved.
Yes.
Whereas he had a safer turn 5. So, but, he had, it's not, there are other decks that can kill on turn 4. For example, Splinter Twin can kill on turn 4.
Of course.
Burn can kill on turn 4.
I'm desensitized to turn 4 kills. That's where we're just at in Modern. I expect
you don't say that was unfair. You're like, oh yeah, that's fine.
That's Modern. To me, that's just, it's just Modern. Just Splinters went on turn 4, or Burn killed me on turn 4, or Zoo killed me on turn 4. I don't know, can Scape Shift kill on turn 4?
No.
No, typically a turn 5 deck,
well, you could, let's see, if you pull off a ramp spell, yeah, you can. You can search for Tomorrow turn 1, try Belter turn 2, that gets you to 5 lands. Yeah, you can. And then the combo turn, you search and Scape Shift.
Okay, sure.
But no is the short answer, but we could set one up.
A Leyline of Sanctity is going to start things off here for Chris.
Yeah, I'm interested that he went for that card here, but it's going to be reasonable. There are Thoughtseizes and a copy of Sin Collector in David's deck. So it may just be better than some of the other things. For example, I talked about the cards he could board out. Pact of Negation's really terrible here also.
Radiant Fountain is how he'll start things, so he'll begin the game at 22. Chris does have a copy of Amulet Vigor in hand, but it doesn't look like he has much interest in playing it. Now, his hand looks a little clunky. There's a Pyroclasm over there. It looks like a Summer Bloom.
I think he has Summer Bloom, Primeval Titan, Amulet. I don't think he has the bounce land.
Yep.
I think he actually has no colored mana. So he has a Pyroclasm. He has a second Leyline. There's a lot of do nothing here. Now, a green bounce land will immediately result in a Primeval Titan.
Got it. So he's keeping what looks to be I guess a Sketcher, but in reality not actually the case.
Well, there are 9 green bounce lands in the deck. If he finds a red mana source, then he can Pyroclasm. The stands a keep. You're right that there certainly can be... Yeah, he could sit here with colorless lands in play for a while.
He's under no pressure. Look at him, he's 22. David doesn't even have anything.
Maybe he has 2 amulets as well.
Goldfarb is going to sacrifice those fetch lands very quickly, go down to 16. Aha, David Mind Sensor.
Yeah, that's good.
He's going to get some basics here in a forest and a plains. I think we might see the 2-1 in just a moment.
Well, ideally, David would like to play the 2-1 when Chris, in response to a Primeval Titan. Because we know Chris does have Pyroclasm. And playing it out there is fine. The only other ways that Chris searches is Teleria West.
In for 2 comes Goldfarb. Now keep in mind, this is only an opponent. If an opponent would search their library, that player searches the top 4 cards of their library instead. A Wall of Roots and a passing of the turn there from Goldfarb.
The 3rd Amulet of Vigor.
Nice. He's going to play 1. We'll see if he wants to play the other one or not.
The reason he's not playing the other ones is that if he draws the bounce land,
okay,
he can tap both colorlesses for amulets, play a bounce land. So he already, keeping 2 is fine. Keeping 3, he actually couldn't make them all in 1 turn.
Got it.
Well, he could, but he would end up losing a mana because of it.
Gruul
There
Turf.
we go. Now, what he can't... This, unfortunately for David, means that Chris has enough mana that he can Clasm and then Titan. So how it works is he plays both amulets. He's going to play Gruul Turf. So now, because there's all these untaps, each land drop makes 6 mana.
Jeez.
So here's 6 off Gruul Turf. It'll probably bounce itself. He'll play Summer Bloom. It'll go down to 4, but he'll have 3 additional land drops, so he'll have 22 mana available.
One could argue Gruul Turf was the best one to draw.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Gruul Turf was... The fact that it made red was really important. So he can then Clasm, have 20 floating, and actually could make 4 Primeval Titans.
How much float? 20?
Yes.
Okay.
20. I mean, and then eat the Primeval... So the thing is, the Primeval Titans are actually going to produce mana.
All right.
Because the Primeval Titans, if the first Titan gets a Teleria West, this is great. So if he just wants to go for just go wild here, a Primeval Titan can get a bounce land, a Simic Growth Chamber, and a Teleria West. They'll untap 3 times, so they'll make 6 blue, 3 green, which is just enough mana to transmute the Teleria West for a Pact, play the Summer's Pact, and play Primeval Titan with conveniently the 9 mana you just made. So Titan gets another Titan for free. Okay. So he could play all 4 Titans out of his deck. Then if the last Titan gets the Slayer's Stronghold and Boros Garrison, well, it will untap 3 additional times, so you can give them all haste in 2-0. No, it's really neat.
Okay, well, we're going to see if he finds that line of play, because this is real hard. I know you've been doing this for a while, so thank God you're next to me right now.
Yeah, well, he can only give 3 of them haste. He can't actually give the 4th one
Oh,
haste.
darn, that's well.
So he may want to stop at 3 Titans.
Deal's off. I'm not interested anymore.
But he can double strike all of them also.
He's going to start with Pyroclasm. That's where he's starting things.
Okay.
He's going to use that to kill Aven Mind Sensor.
That's bad news for David if this happens. Yeah. So right, there.
Summer Bloom has been cast. He's got mana floating.
Right, I don't know how many times he's played the Gruul Turf yet.
Only played it once.
Okay,
so he played.
And that's correct.
He played Gruul Turf.
So he has red, so he has 4 floating.
He played Gruul Turf, played Summer Bloom.
Yep.
And then played Pyroclasm.
So he has 2 floating
Correct.
at the moment.
He should have
2 floating and 3 land drops remaining. Remember, each land drop is 6 mana. Mm-hmm. So he can go up to 20.
If you're at home, get out your notebook, get out your mechanical pencil. Be prepared to erase. I know you teach. Mechanical pencil the way to go?
No, Pilot G2 pens.
Okay, new sponsor of the Open Series.
If you buy them online, you can get them in bulk.
David is going to sacrifice a fetch land here in response. We might have a Quarter Calling, maybe a Collected Company. That's really the only way he can interact. Abrupt Decay is not going to do a ton right now, given that there are 3 amulets on the table. Do you have a pilot on you?
Yeah, why would I not?
Oh my God.
You never know when you need to write something.
My math teacher told me not to use pen.
Well, that's because he wants to grade your things, and that he's assuming you're going to make mistakes.
Ah, I like that. You're assuming I won't make a mistake. Thank you. That's very nice of you.
I'm not giving you the pen. I'm using the pen.
David deciding what land he wants to search up. Considering just a basic forest, he'll go with the basic forest. Again, Quarter Calling, Collected Company. Those are the options right now for him.
So he can actually chord for Aethersworn Canonist, I believe.
That's so.
if he has it in.
He's got to pick the right spot to do it, though, right? Because in response to the Pyroclasm, he's the wrong time to do it.
Right. So he would let this resolve, and then what I would try to do is wait until Chris has a bounce land trigger on the stack, and then chord for Canonist.
Yeah.
And because Chris has already played the Pyroclasm, he would be done for the turn.
And he's already played the Summer Bloom, so he can play the lands from Summer Bloom a couple times, but that's not really what he wants to do here.
Right.
So let's see what Goldfarb's going to do. This looks like a collected company.
This is a company in response.
Yeah, this could really backfire.
Well, if he doesn't have the Canonist in his deck, he doesn't have the line to chord for it.
This is true. That's card number 6. And it looks like he did find 2 creatures. Looks like a Kitchen Finks is hiding out in there. Maybe a Birds of Paradise, too.
I don't know if he realizes just with 3 amulets just how many unfair things Chris can do here. Like, I mentioned a line where Chris gets 24 power. Chris has a swing for 48 with Trample this turn. So I'm not particularly concerned of what value creatures David's going to put into play.
You're not terribly scared of a Kitchen Finks right now?
How much life does it gain? I mean, that's...
Still 2.
Yeah,
Still
and I guess
2.
it blocks for 2. We're not worried.
But again, when you're playing Amulet Bloom, it is kind of this weird puzzle. So though you see that crazy line that I would never find, we'll see if Chris can. He's pretty well versed in the deck at this point. And this is, again, all in response to just a Pyroclasm. That's how things got started. Now, there's 2 copies of Kitchen Finks. Collected Company's done resolving. You'll get 2 triggers from the Finks, so Goldfarb will gain 4 life. Pyroclasm will resolve. Kitchen Finks will persist. He'll gain 4 more life.
So now he's in the 20s. Like I said, 48 trample. That's possible here.
That is a possible turn for this deck. Let's see if VanMeter can find it.
I mean, so to be fair, you need the stuff like triple amulet to do these kind of things.
Oh, yeah.
One of the tricks is when you have a good line, you oftentimes just have a better line, and you can really go to town.
Here's Primeval Titan.
So it looks like he has cashed in another of his Gruul Turf
Okay.
triggers.
So let's see what he's going to search up.
So if he's going for line, I believe he's going to go for it. He goes for... Okay, so he needs to be thinking bigger here. He could be going for Simic Growth Chamber Teleria West. And like I said, because it untaps 3 times and makes 9, it just transmutes and casts a Titan for free. So he could just make more Titans, and he could give them all haste.
He's going the Slayer Stronghold route, however, with the Boros Garrison.
Right, so this was part of the line that he could do, and this will still work. So he gets to use this 3 times, so the Titan goes up to an 8/6, up to a 10/6, and may go up to a 12/6, and he can still double strike it, so it's still 24.
But he could do so much more.
He could do a lot more. He could have a whole horde of Titans attacking with double strike.
He's going to pick up the Slayer Stronghold. Or, excuse me, he'll pick up the... Why is that card name eluding me? The Sunhome. The Sunhome Fortress of the Legion. Excuse me.
So, yeah, and I mean, he does... Okay, the Sunhome was in play. Doesn't actually... So he still could do the line with Sunhome in play, also. He would have to Vesuva the Sunhome, and if the other Primeval Titan triggers get Gruul Turf and Celestia Sanctuary to get the red-white to pay for Sunhome, but it would have still been possible. People are wondering, like, how would you double strike it if the Sunhome's already in play?
Got it. So now Turf is going to tap for a bunch of mana. You can see, though Chris is well-versed in this deck, the lines with this deck, again, it's like a puzzle. Here's another
Okay, so if he has
Titan.
2 Titans, maybe now he's going for the multiple Titans. I didn't know that. If he has a second Titan, then the first Titan doesn't have to do that.
Okay. So let's see what this one's going to get. Looking at a Gemstone Mine.
I mean, Simic Growth Chamber Teleria West is still a good option here because of all the mana it produces. He can haste the second Titan, so the first Titan is a 10/6. He can make the second one an 8/6, and then on attack, he can still get the lands to double strike both of them.
Okay.
So instead of 48 damage trample, we're still at 36, which if you look at Goldfarb's life total on blockers is still lethal.
Still plenty.
So to double strike them, what he'll have to get, is that he'll have to use, if he has a land drop left, and I believe he does, he'll need to put the Slayer Stronghold into play, or the Sunhome into play from his hand again.
Okay.
Because it needs to be in play when he attacks.
Yep.
So then when he attacks, one of the Titan triggers will get Vesuva and You'll have to say, so the first Titan triggers that come into play get Gruul Turf and Celestia Sanctuary. And the second set of triggers need to get Vesuva and something. And the Vesuva copies the Slayer Stronghold, and then you double strike both of them.
Well, David said, you know, I can't take this anymore. You're gonna kill me, aren't you? And Chris says, yeah, eventually.
Oh, yeah.
Eventually I'm gonna figure this out. You're not getting another turn. I can promise you that much. And he does extend the hand. So Chris VanMeter trying to harness the power of Amulet Bloom. He's finding a way to do it, even though it is very, very tough. He wins this match 2-0. He is now 9-0 here at the Season 2 Invitational, 5-0 with Amulet Bloom.
If he gets to keep playing as turn 1 Forest Mana Creature Go, Chris is going to have a 12-0 start to this tournament.